In the next 5 minutes, we'll be discussing honors contract processing. As a brief outline, the process begins when the student proposes a contract, then it's approved by the Honors College, and then it's completed with a completion form. Just to give you a little bit more details, at the end of the 6th week of class is when we usually set the due date for the proposal. This is announced to the students, and they have workshops so that they understand the process of doing an honors contract. We set the due date at the end of the 6th week so that the student has a chance to understand the course content and also have a familiarity with the professor who they're going to work with. All of the due dates and the procedures are communicated directly to the students at the beginning of the term. It's really their responsibility to understand the process and to prepare the proposal. Students should always consult with instructors on the details of a contract prior to submitting it so that you have input too. Students must submit the proposal directly to the faculty through an online process by the deadline that we set, but we give you another week to approve it and work with the student to refine it. Once I receive the contract proposal, I'll review it and, if appropriate, approve it. And at the end of the term, I will send instructors a completion form to fill out to indicate that the student has completed the contract and will get an A or a B in the class. When students apply for an honors contract, they go into CougarNet under ISA system and they go to the Personal Information tab. You can see here that there's an honors contract application that they access. However, as a faculty member, you'll access the honors contract process through the Report menu. Once there, you'll click on General Administrative Reports, and you'll find the honors contract faculty view here. When you have a contract submitted to you, it'll have a title, it'll have a completion due date, which is negotiated between you and the students, and this initial bar allows you to see the status of it. Also, it tells you who updated it last. You have several options across the top. You can view it, you can go into edit it, submit it, which means you are approving it, or you can hit revise to send it back to the student, or you can just decline it. The contract proposal is completed by the student, and it's automatically filled with the course number, so that should be accurate. They need to put in a title. They need to have a set due date for their project. I always recommend that this is the last day of class. Don't make it the last day of finals because you'll need a chance to review the project. They need a short description up at the top. They also need to have specific requirements. The most common reason I will ask a student to revise a contract is because they haven't put in specific requirements. If they're preparing a paper, I expect them to tell me the length and also the formatting that they're going to be using. If it's going to be lab or field work, I need to know how much time they're going to be devoting to this project. Just make sure that they have the details, because this is where it's important that there's clear expectations between the student and the faculty member about what would be produced. Even if the expectation is to prepare a presentation to the class, they need to know the specific length of the presentation and also perhaps how many sources they're going to be using in their academic paper or presentation. I typically use the relevance section if a student is proposing to do a contract that's outside their major. 90% of the contracts are in their major, but sometimes they might have a minor that they are pursuing, and I will allow it if they've made a good case in the relevance section. You'll notice that under the View part of the application, the revision box is not highlighted. If you want to make a revising comment and send it back to the student, you have to go back and use the Edit feature of the program. I'm just going to hit the back button. In the View, I couldn't add any comments, but if I wanted to revise, notice if I click on that, it's just a submission type button that sends a rejection notice back to the student. So if I wanted to send a revision, I actually need to go into Edit, and I would come down, add my comments. I still would want to come back and hit Revise to send it back to the student for revision. If you hit Submit, that means you're submitting it to approve it, and that will send it directly to me. During the last week of classes, you'll be getting an email from me that's entitled Honors Contract Completion Form. For every student that you have working on the contract, you'll need to enter the student name, the CRN, and the course number, and you just need to simply say whether or not the contract has been satisfied. I'll also ask you to give the anticipated grade A and B, or if you don't have an estimate available, you can also check this box right here. I will make sure at the end of the term, after you have posted grades, that the student has achieved an A or a B. It's not your responsibility to make sure that you inform me that the student has received an A or a B. It's only your responsibility to tell me whether or not the student has completed their contract as agreed upon in their proposal. Below, I also like to monitor what type of work that the contract entailed. I use this as a data collection point for program assessment. So that was a very quick overview of the contract process. If you have more questions, please definitely call me or send me an email. Thanks again for working with a student. Hope you have a good semester.